Shalom, Ambazonia. People of the United Nations Trust Territory of the British Southern Cameroons, good morning. Mr. Biya Bimvondo released some Ambazonian prisoners.
Nothing not to work. People just suffer. Picking them for good. Papa, put your hands on me. They want know the work.
Good citizens of Ambazonia. Today na number 4 day for the month for October 2019. My name na Capo Daniel. This one na my daily podcast for now. Money finish, eye clear. Mr. Biya Bimvondo, the mad king of La République du Cameroon, then succumbed for under international pressure for release some Ambazonia prisoner. Information where they come from Yaoundé diplomatic corps, they indicate big discontent between the diplomatic corps for Yaoundé and the Biya regime. All countries they don't condemn Mr. Biya's so-called dialogue as a sham, including the French government itself. No single country or diplomat then congratulate Mr. Biya or see anything good for the so-called national dialogue. With mounting international pressure, Mr. Biya then signed a decree for stop the court case for over 333 Ambazonian captives within the Nkondengi prison.
Ordered the discontinuance of proceedings pending before military tribunals against a number of people arrested for misdemeanors in connection with the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions.
By stating that the people the way they catch them, na people the way they be commit na misdemeanor, Mr. Biya they indirectly admit for commit international crime because all the Ambazonians the way they don't catch them for our territory, bring them for Yaoundé the way they get court case, all them be tried for treason, acts of terrorism, all crimes and way they not involve misdemeanor. Mr. Biya, as the commander-in-chief of La République du Cameroon, their army, be guilty of war crimes and all the atrocity committed by its troops them for inside Ambazonia, including the arrest of people them where they commit small crimes or suspicion of committing misdemeanor and carry them, lock them for inside Nkondengi prison. They try them for treason, terrorism, and other trumped-up charges. Since now Mr. Biya be declared a war, thereby ordering his troops to act or omit to act, Mr. Biya be directly responsible for the action of all his troops them by terms of a hierarchy. It look like say Mr. Biya a handpicked successor, Ferdinand Ngongo, then provide evidence for against Mr. Biya by sharing out this decree. A release of people them where he exclude Seseko Ayoktabi and in Naira colleagues them. Me be very clear, say the African court for Banjul from Gambia be that make them abundantly clear, say there is no separation of power in Cameroon, since the president has judicial and legislative authorities, with both institutions, their functions them be in a pocket. Mr. Biya action them be criminal in nature. The notion of arrest warrant does not exist. The legal expectation under international law of probable cause seems not to be existence for inside La République du Cameroon. That is why Supreme Court judge like Justice Ayapo Abine could be easily bundled up by military men, put in prison, almost lost his sight, almost paralyzed and lost his life in jail, and then released without any explanation. The French government will put Mr. Biya and it sustain a regime. It then turned Mr. Biya and Cameroonian armed forces into a killing machine of its own people. When other countries they honor military men them for work with them do them against the enemy. La République du Cameroon, they honor somebody like General Pierre Semenge with badges them for a career, not for fighting the enemy, but for attacking his own country. The military of Cameroon, like soldier them, with the only achievement, na the blood of innocent civilians them for their hand. This type of people, no be people who will live together with. Dr. Adams Simons, the director for the Center for the Responsibility to Protect, one powerful organization where they push for the United Nations for take upon the Ambazonian issue for the United Nations Security Council. Iran grants an interview with Fox News where he talks say time for take this palaver for United Nations Security Council. Iran reach. Make una listen.
Another country that's starting to get more attention is Cameroon.
Yeah.
What's causing the problems in Cameroon, and what is the status of that particular situation?
Cameroon is again, for me, a very deeply disturbing situation that started out of identity-based conflicts. You have an Anglophone, that is to say an English-speaking, minority who are mainly concentrated in one part of the country, and a mainly Francophone-dominated government. People protested against the long sense of marginalization that they felt. And unfortunately, the government's response was bullets and batons. That then encouraged, I think, separatist tendencies amongst the Anglophone population. And we now have this armed conflict in the Anglophone areas, which has actually displaced somewhere in the vicinity of about 500,000 people. There are literally hundreds of schools which have been shut down or burnt down or destroyed. We actually don't know how many people have been killed because it's very hard to track civilian deaths in Cameroon. And this developing armed conflict, which no one in Cameroon will benefit from or prosper from. And I think one of the sad things is that now is the time for the international community and for the UN Security Council upstairs in this building to actually get engaged in the issue of Cameroon.
The International Crisis Group also then submit damaging files regarding the war for Ambazonia. In those files, they also condemn the national dialogue as a consultation of mainly Francophones. Them also say the absence of the MRC and many political actors in La République du Cameroun, including Kawala, and the absence of Cameroon, their legislature. For those talks, them make them now one of the points that will be invalid. It is a failed talk. For the looks of things, even the resolutions them for the so-called dialogue as it be expected for be released very soon, the international community that already make up a mind say it was a failed process. The celebration of Ambazonian Independence Days overwhelmingly then demonstrate, say, the national dialogue called by Mr. Biya was a non-event, according to Ambazonian fighters. Top American diplomat Herman Cohen also indicate the barrage of international pressure on La République du Cameroun.
I think they will because it makes sense, and also the international community is pressing them on that. That they'll be in suspension, so I think there'll be maybe another week of maneuvering, and I expect they will start talks about 7 days' time.
Yeah, the separatists.
Herman Cohen, where for an interview for BBC, be make a mistake for talk say the root causes for the Ambazonian crisis na the 1972 constitutional amendment that make a corrigendum through Amber News. In a publication for Amber News, Herman Cohen explained, say the United Nations organized plebiscite for February 11, 1961 was unnecessary and based on falsehood from Britain. He further explained, say the Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia, under the British administration was a Class B mandate territory, just like a counterpart, the French Cameroon territory, under the French administration. The French Cameroon did not go through a plebiscite for become an independent and sovereign country from France. He talks say if as a Class B territory, French Cameroon become independent without any plebiscite, the same thing for apply for British Southern Cameroons. He further explained, say the British government be untruthful for the United Nations about the reason where they began, say Southern Cameroon be economically unviable to become a sovereign state. Say British government be mastermind a grand fraudulent scheme in the United Nations system, conniving with the French for deny Ambazonia people their attainment of independence from Britain as a sovereign country. As a result, Herman Cohen conclude, say the plebiscite for 1961 for the British Southern Cameroon territory, now Ambazonia, be na the choice of Ambazonians them. it will be an imposed will by the United Nations following the above falsehood from the British government. The British government therefore be them abdicate a responsibility for ensure say our territory, the Southern Cameroons, become independent and sovereign. If it be a matter for choice of fully respecting the right of self-determination of the people of Ambazonia, then the option of achieving independence from England as a sovereign country will be respected in the ballot box as well. So the options where the United Nations be impose them for the people them for Southern Cameroon were unnecessary. A moronic concept of independence by joining French Cameroon or Nigeria. Thus, the people of Southern Cameroon, now Ambazonia, were forced by a binary option of in a plebiscite to achieve independence by joining. They had no free choice to become a sovereign country as them be entitled under the various United Nations General Assembly law, including Resolution 1514 of December 1960 and the Declaration of Granting of Independence of Colonial Countries and People. Ladies and gentlemen, the law is on our side. We must hold our ground, stand on principles, and not settle for anything less than our full right under international law. Eventually, justice will prevail. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Ambazonia, hold on, resist. Make we respect the Monday country Sunday. When at the way for we for show the war so we'll not be satisfied. Make we resist. We'll fight for defend our territory against state-sponsored terrorism from French Cameroon. Make we fight until independence is restored.
People just
May the war be short. May our independence, freedom, democracy, and civil liberty be in Ambazonia forever. God bless you. Capo Daniel signing off.
Put your hands on me, Mama, no.